Section 6.3 is titled Converting Rates and Measurements. So the vocab term I want you to learn today is dimensional analysis, and it sounds really fancy, but it's really just the process of including units of measurement as factors when you compute. So for example, if an hour equals 60 minutes, we can set up the conversion factor 1 hour over 60 minutes or 60 minutes over 1 hour. This is like a rate, and since those two things are equivalent, we'll use them when we're computing. So let's just practice. What we want to do is convert 760 miles per hour to miles per minute, and you're definitely going to want a calculator for this lesson. So 760, we're going to write miles on top. Whenever you see the word per, that typically means it's our fraction bar per 1 hour. That's what 760 miles per hour means. But we want to change it to miles per minute. So we need to figure out, it's going to be 1 minute, we need to figure out what conversion factor we want to use. So we would need to look at what's changing. We're keeping miles the same, so we don't need to convert miles, but we need to convert hours to minutes. So this is where the conversion factor is going to come in. What we need to do is use that conversion factor. How many minutes are there in an hour? And then we need to determine which one goes on top. And we want units to cancel. So if hours on the bottom are conversion, we want hour on the top. Then we want 60 minutes on the bottom. So the hours will cancel, and when you look at the units you have left, miles over minutes, that's what we want, miles over minutes. So now what do? Any numbers you see across the top you'll multiply, and then you'll divide anything on the bottom. So we have 760 on top, and we are going to divide that by 60. And when you punch that in a calculator, you get 12.6 repeating. So we're going to round that and say 12.7. So it's about 12.7 miles per minute. And units are going to be very important here. And actually, I'm going to change this. This was 12.6 repeating, but we're going to round that again. That's why I use the about symbol to 12.7 miles per minute. Let's look at another one. We have the average teenager spends $42 per year on fashion-related items. And how much is that per week? So how much money is that per week? So when you look at the conversion factor, you need to keep money the same, but we need to convert years to weeks. So you have to think about how many weeks are there in a year. There are 52 weeks in a year. And then do we want year on top and weeks on bottom, or the other way around? And hopefully you're saying you want to put the 1 year on top. This is our conversion factor, and we want 52 weeks on the bottom because we want the unit year to cancel. So now we're going to divide 1742 divided by 52. And remember, we are talking about money, so it's $33.50. So that's about, on average, how much a teenager spends on a fashion-related items in a week, $33.50. Here's one where we have 176 feet per second, and we need to convert it to miles per hour. So you can see we're converting feet to miles and seconds to hours. So we're going to have two different conversions here. But we're going to start with 176 feet over 1 second. And we're going to need a conversion factor for feet to miles. we're going to need a conversion factor for seconds to hours. But that's what we want to get all the way to miles per hour. So the first one we'll do is feet to miles, because that's a little bit easier. Think about how many feet there are in a mile, and I believe that was in your notes from section 6.2, maybe 6.1 even, where we were doing some reducing or simplifying. But there are 5,280 feet in a mile. Now, why did I put feet on bottom? Because I need that to cancel with this unit of feet on top. Notice now I have the unit of miles up top, which is what I want in my final answer. Now we need to convert seconds to hours. And you can do this one of two ways. And I'm going to show you a second way down here. The first way would be to convert 60 seconds in 1 minute, and then convert 60 minutes to 1 hour. Now watch what happens with my units. My seconds down here cancel with the ones up there. My minutes down here cancel up here, and I end up with miles per hour, which is what I want in my answer. Your other option is to actually convert how many seconds there are in an hour, and you can figure that out on your own, but there are 3,600 seconds in an hour. So it takes out having to do two conversions here, and this will give you your answer also, and I'll show you, we'll compute it both ways. So on top, with our calculator, this is what we're going to punch in. 176 divided by 5,280. You need to make sure you're hitting enter there on your calculator, because now we're going to multiply it times 60, and we're going to multiply it times 60 again. That's 176. We divided by 5,280, then we multiplied by 60, and we multiplied again by 60 to get 120 miles per hour. Most of us can't comprehend how fast feet per second are, but if we look at miles per hour, we can relate that to cars. We drive in cars a lot, so we know that that is pretty fast. Now your other option down here was to take 176 divided by 5,280, and you get 0.03 repeating, and then multiply it by 3,600, and you still get 120 miles per hour. So either way, it works. So this is option 2. And this one's a little bit easier again because it's one fewer conversion. But your second down on the bottom still cancels with the seconds up top, and you still end up with a unit of hours in the bottom, which is what we want over here. So here are some measurement conversions, and this is not anything I would expect you to memorize. If we have something like this on a quiz or a test, I would provide you with a copy of this. I know this one's a little blurry. If you want to write these down, you can, but you'll have to be able to access it while we're working on our worksheets and things like that. So I don't know if you can screenshot this and save it as a picture onto your laptop so you can pull it up quickly, or if you want to just go ahead and write it down. Some of you have access to printers where you could actually just print the picture off itself. But now we're going to look at some measurement conversions. So we want to convert centimeters to inches, and we need to round to the nearest hundredth when we can. So we have 12 centimeters, and we want to get so many inches. So if we go back, we're looking for the length, centimeters to inches, and we see that 1 inch is about 2.540 centimeters, or 1 centimeter is about 0.394 inches. And the question is, are we going from customary to metric, or from metric to customary? When we start with inches, that's a customary measurement. The metric system are all the centimeters, meters, kilometers, liters, grams. Those are the metric. That's the metric system. Anytime you have centa, deca, gosh, there are a ton of them, but hopefully you know some of those from science. Milliliter, that's all metric. So we want to use this conversion factor here. The 1 inch is about equal to 2.540 centimeters. So when we go back, the question is which one goes on top. Well, remember, you still want the same units to cancel. So if I have centimeters up here, I need centimeters down here. And it was 2.540 centimeters for every 1 inch. So I'm going to take 12 and divide it by 2.540, and that gives me 4.7244 in a calculator, and we want to round to the nearest hundredth, so it's about 4.72 inches. And you need to make sure you have units here, but again, the centimeters canceled, just like a fraction, 2/2 cancels. So can units. So we get 4.72 inches. Now we're going to convert quarts to liters, and again, this is a customary measurement to a metric. So for quarts, we need some type of conversion, and it's going to equal some amount of liters. So let's go back. How many quarts are in a liter? Customary, we're talking about volume, and you can see here we have 1 quart is about equal to 0.946 liters. So try to remember that 0.946. And the abbreviation for a liter is a capital L, and that was 1 quart is about 0.946 liters. So now we're going to take 4, we're going to multiply it by 0.946, and we get 3.784, and we want to round that again to the nearest hundredths, so it's about 3.78 liters. And now example 6, we're going to convert miles to kilometers. So we have 6 miles. And again, that is a customary measurement, and we're going to so many kilometers. So we need another conversion factor. We need to know about how many miles are in a kilometer or vice versa, but we're going customary to metric. So we're going to go back to that slide. And we're talking about length. And here's the conversion. 1 mile is about 1.609 kilometers. So think about which one you want on top, which one you want on bottom. We want the miles to cancel, so 1 mile is about 1.609 kilometers. So you're going to take 6 times 1.609. You get 9.654. Again, we're rounding to the nearest hundredth, so it's about 9.65 kilometers in 6 miles. In class, we'll be working on worksheet 6.3.